Hello, friends. Welcome to the channel where we collect the most honest, funny, absurd, and sometimes completely wild stories from the lives of those who greet guests with a smile every day, even if you want to scream inside. Today is a selection of real stories from waiters and servers from all over the world, and maybe a couple from our region. There will be crazy customers, legendary tips, moments when you want to leave in the middle of a shift, and those rare occasions when work turns into a real adventure. If you've ever worked in a gym, served tables, or just like to spy on someone else's kitchen, these stories are definitely for you. Please like it in advance if you are already preparing to laugh or sympathize. I had a couple come in and eat one night. They both ordered burgers and fries, easy enough. I got their food out and made sure everything looked good and left to get them refills. When I came back, the lady looked disgusted and pushed the plate at me. There's definitely a hair in my burger. The hair was on top of the bun, which I literally did not see a few seconds ago, and it was a black curly hair that looked exactly like hers. I apologized and let her know I'd be getting another one started for her immediately. BTW, we did not have any staff with curly black hair working at the restaurant. I brought the new burger out and asked if she'd like to check it right then and there to make sure it all looked good for her. She happily agreed, and after checking, she seemed happy with it. I walked away and watched them from our post station. She literally cut the burger in half, yanked a hair from her head, and stuck in between the meat as her husband helped her assemble it back together. My manager was watching this go down as well, LOL. I went back and asked how everything was doing, and this time, she was angry. There is seriously another hair in the burger, and look, it's like right in the meat. She's slowly pulling it out to show me. She then said it was probably my hair, which funny enough mine was bright red and straight. I acted puzzled and said, "That's weird. No one that works here has curly black hair like this. I wonder how this got there." They demanded another burger to go because they wanted to leave and said it needed to be free of charge. I smiled and said, "I would have gladly done that for you, except my manager and I just witnessed you pull your own hair off your head and place it in the burger. Would like me to get her to come over and see about that free burger." They immediately dropped the smug look and asked for the check to leave. No tip, but hey, the looks on their faces was worth it. Other stories are mostly people acting they couldn't read the menu prices or ate their entire meal and then claimed they hated it, so they wanted it free. I just don't understand people sometimes. I did it once, and it damn near killed my culinary passion. I worked in some bougie-ass coffee and chocolate shop when I was just starting out in college. Family owned in a small town, chef had some pretty impressive world records, and the actual quality of the products was top tier. I even liked the other people I was working with. However, the issue came from the owners. I swear, these people had no idea how to run a business or treat employees. For example, unless you were working almost the entire day, no breaks. And you could not take your break in the shop. You had to either go find some place quiet in the kitchen or stand outside in the back parking lot. They were not transparent about schedule changes, multiple occasions where shifts would change, and I'd either show up and be told I wasn't working, or I'd be out living my life, and I'd get a call or text saying I was late. And here's the real kicker. They kept me in training the entire time I was there. Not because I didn't know what I was doing or because I was bad at my job. No, they kept me in training because if they did, it meant they could pay me less than minimum wage and that I received exactly 0% of the tips. I told them to get bent after 4 months and got a better paying job stocking shelves at Lowe's. Right now, it's pretty hard, honestly. It's a bad time to start serving, but if you can make it right now, you can definitely make it when things are back to normal. If they ever are, I'm not a people person. I'm not super bubbly or friendly, but that works for me. I don't give my customers the fake customer service voice. I used to at my first serving job, which was at a Steak and Shake. I now work in a tavern. I mostly bartend, but when I do serve, I make decent money. You don't have to be outgoing, in my opinion. You don't have to have customer service experience. To me, the most important thing about being a server is being efficient and knowledgeable about the drinks and food served at your establishment. Time management will get you through rough shifts. It's about learning how to make the most of your shift. For example, you're swamped, running back and forth. Table 2 ordered soup that's not out yet, so you take them their silverware and crackers on the way to drop menus at Table 1. You have a spare moment after taking Table 5 their entrees, so you go around and top off beverages and check on your tables. Anticipating needs is a big thing as well. I actually learned that one working in a call center as a retention agent. I basically took calls from a major cell phone provider's customers who wanted to cancel their service. Table 5 ordered a basket of fries to share. Bring them small plates and ask if they want condiments for their ketchup. When I go out to eat, I don't want a server that is overly friendly. I just want my food and my drinks in a timely manner and want the process to go smoothly. I don't want to be waiting a long time for the check. Some people aren't like this. Some people want you to fawn over them, and I'm sure I've missed out on some tips by not being over the top, but it's just not me, and the majority of my customers seem to value efficiency over small talk. Another thing is, and this might not be popular advice, but if you are swamped or in the weeds, and there is no possible way to give every table the attention that they need, focus on the tables that are understanding, not the snarky ones, because usually, not always, you're not going to make the snarky or slightly rude tables happy anyways, and they were never going to tip you well. I've worked in fine dining and in very exclusive private clubs. Generally, the clientele are just wonderful. They tend to have a favorite server and usually request them. They're very generous, they know your name, and ask about your family and your life, and are polite and kind. They introduce you to their guests when they bring friends in and treat you with respect. I can't tell you how many have brought me a bottle of wine from their private cellars as a gift, or insisted I taste the vintage Bordeaux that I've decanted for them. They're very generous with tips, and the holidays are just ridiculous. They'll bring in envelopes with huge amounts of cash for each staff member and send all kinds of edible treats. I've been given gifts from Tiffany and sent flowers after I've waited on a party the night before. It's a whole different animal. It takes a certain personality to walk the line between being uber professional and still letting your personality show, but it's such a good experience. As we were a private club, I can't give out any names, but these are definitely people you know. Of course, you'll get some new money trustafarian come in and act the fool, but it doesn't happen often. I tried waiting tables once, and after 3 weeks, I quit because I was so terrible at it. I've had several jobs since that many people aren't able to do. When I go out to eat, I'm incredibly laid back. I don't ask for substitutions. I don't ask for shit. I want the waitstaff to leave me alone. I was in for a huge surprise when I tried to wait tables. I had no idea there were so many terrible, demanding, entitled people who went out to eat. Every single night I got at least a couple of tables that were full of fat people who needed tons of everything, and they needed it now. I never have my drink refilled once, so imagine my shock when I learned there are people who need their tea refilled 5 to 6 times. If there's something I don't like in my food, I pick it out. Not good enough for the entitled fat ass. They're going to scream at you and send it back 2, 3, 4 times, then demand that everyone at their table's meals are free. Really? I was clearly out of my element here. My trainer could tell I was struggling, and she said to me, "The key to being a good server is to anticipate people's needs." I thought about that for a moment and quit. There is no way in hell I'm going to be able to anticipate the needs of entitled fat adult babies. I can't get in their head, and frankly, I don't want to. It was the worst work experience in my 30-plus years of working. No benefits, and training was unpaid. Worst job on the planet. I've worked in fine dining for a little over a decade, and I've spent the last 3 years working at a place that's a small step below Michelin. Honestly, I'd say around half of our guests are average folk. Last Saturday, for example, we have 25 tables celebrating birthdays and 19 couples coming in to celebrate an anniversary. For a lot of people, it's a once or twice a year thing to eat at a restaurant like this one. Our guests spend an average of 125 per person, and that's if they don't get luxury goods like caviar, wagyu, white truffles, bottles of wine, multiple drinks, etc. I love these people. Many won't hesitate to spend good money for the experience. They are also fun, engaging, and interesting people for the most part. I love the education aspect of the job. I get to give out info on food and wine. The other half is the truly rich. They can be just as fun, but often need a more professional approach. They aren't used to hearing no, can be harder to sell to, but also will spend money where they see value, aka wine most often. Many are very generous, many are rather cheap. I have met the entire spectrum of humanity working in fine dining. I've met some awesome people, heard some wildly dumb questions, enough to fill a book, as well as meeting some interesting people. Most are very polite and well-mannered, but there are the odd balls. A few times a week, we have to ask someone to turn off their huge lights they have mounted to their phone, or tell them the lobby isn't their personal photo shoot area, but that's usually with the very young crowd. As far as demographics, it's all over place for us. We are located in a fairly large U.S. city, so getting a diverse crowd is expected. It's often hard to tell someone's wealth just based on appearance, and wealth doesn't always dictate what someone will spend. I've waited on guests who come in dressed very casually, almost too casual, and spend $2,500 on dinner, and guests come dressed to the nines who spend $200. I've waited on billionaires who share everything and never spend much, and blue-collar guys who come in and want the full experience and spend wild money. I used to work at a pub, and one day I see my manager, let's call him John, having a heated conversation with this old guy, a regular, let's call him Bob. The conversation seems to wrap up with some kind of apology, and I ask John what it was all about. He says Bob is only allowed 3 pints maximum from now on because he keeps shitting on the bathroom floor. Mentally, I was processing this for a minute before I said, "What? Like he's actually pooping on the bathroom floor?" John says yes he is, and this was the 3rd time. Bob is an older guy, like old enough to call elderly for sure, so I felt a bit sorry for him, and I told John, "Oh, that's sad. Like he must have lost control. He's probably embarrassed." And John said, "No, he's doing it on purpose." I was like, "What on earth? How do you know he's doing it on purpose?" John said, "Because Bob puts newspaper down on the floor first." He said, "I've been wondering who was doing it. And just now I watched him walk in there with a newspaper, and then I've gone in and found it. So this time I'm certain it's him, but he only seems to do it after about 3 pints. And he's apologized and promised not to do it again. But I've said he can't have more than that from now on." I was like this, fast forward a few weeks, and Bob is in. He's on his 3rd pint, when his friend walks in and after a brief chat, offers to buy Bob another pint. Now I was not going to be the one cleaning up if Bob's pooping alter ego showed up, so I managed to catch his eye when his friend wasn't looking and held up 3 fingers and gave him a look. I've never seen Bob move so fast. He yelled to his friend something about having to go to the bookies and ran out the door, leaving his mate confused at the bar. And yeah, he never pooped on the floor again.